Hey y'all. So first I wanted to say thank you so much for everyone who commented, liked, subscribed, all the text, all the love, all the support that I received for yesterday's video meant the entire world to me. It took a lot of courage for me to make that video, and I'm so thankful that I did. Today's video is a lot different. I wanted to share my personal experience and shed a little light and knowledge about living with sarcoidosis. Sarcoidosis is an inflammatory disease that pretty much attacks your organs. So there are people that suffer with their skin, their heart, lungs, their nervous system. I've even heard of some people saying that they struggle with like their bones and things like that. And mine's affects my eyes. So a lot of it is kind of like your body looking at this particular organ as an inanimate object or something that's harmful, and it attacks it, trying to protect you, but it is actually harming that particular organ. So mine is my eyes, and when I have these flare-ups, I have extreme eye pain, eye pressure, vision loss, and you know, of course, without your eyes, it's a lot that you can't do. My struggle with it started probably back in 2014. I remember it being my daughter's second birthday, and we were having a birthday party at my parents' house. And my parents have a guest room in the back of their house, and we were setting up and doing all this stuff and just getting ready for the birthday party. And I kept having to take breaks and go to their back room and lay down, and I would have to turn off all the lights, and I just kept doing that throughout the entire day. And I knew something was wrong. I was like, man, my eyes are hurting, and I didn't know what it was. And so I ended up going throughout that day, and it lasted for weeks, and it just wouldn't go away. And any kind of light, sunlight, the lights in your home, any kind of light. I remember even the little light on the TV, when you turn it on and off, like the red and green light, that would hurt. Any kind of light would hurt. And during that time, it was very confusing. I was seeing so many different doctors. My primary care, I was seeing 2 eye specialists, an allergist, and I was going to these doctors like every week. I had between 3 and 4 doctor's appointments a week, trying to figure out what was going on. And so I think and during this time, my eyes were just blood red, because when I have flare-ups, my eyes get really, really, really red. And so everyone was just saying, it's got to be your allergies. I remember I had a doctor saying it could be a torn like retina or something that's causing you all this pain. So I ended up going to go see this one doctor, and he did very extensive blood work. And in the blood work, he was just like, your inflammation levels are off the charts. Has anybody ever tested this? Or, and I was like, no, I've just done a lot of eye exams. So he mentioned to me, have you ever heard of sarcoidosis? And I had at the time, because my father suffers with it, and his is in his lungs. But at the time, I didn't know that sarcoidosis was anything or could affect anything other than your lungs. So I told him yes. I was like, my father has it. And he was like, okay. He was like, I think we have a good idea about what's going on. So from there, I started seeing these other specialists and things that he ended up sending me out to. I saw as a pulmonologist, and that's when I received my diagnosis. And from there, during that time especially, there was not a lot of treatment for sarcoidosis either. The only real treatment that they had during that time was steroids. And for the amount of pain and inflammation that I was having, I had to be on one of the highest doses of steroids. I think I was taking between 40 and 60 milligrams a day. And it was one of the most difficult times that I had experienced with any sort of health issue. So I'm taking all this medicine, and they're trying to get control of it, and I ended up years later having my son. I ended up getting pregnant with my son. And so during that time, a lot of the medications that I was taking, I could no longer take because it was deemed harmful for him. So I was on like a low dose of steroids during that time, but my main medications I could not take. So another aspect of it is with flare-ups, each flare-up causes more permanent damage. So each flare-up that I would have, I would lose more vision because of my pressures in my eyes being so high. So I ended up not taking any of it and having a lot of damage left after he was born. So what I felt like was one of the best times in my life, which of course is having him, became one of the worst. And I'll tell you why. A lot of people do not know this, but I was pretty much blind for 2 years. I was pretty much confined to my home, and not only confined to my home, but I was kind of forced to live in the dark, like literally. I could not really have any lights on in the house, and I had to have so much help. And for a person like me that prides herself on being independent and doing things on her own, it was very crippling for me to have my mother come over and make bottles, and my husband do all this prep work before he went to work, because there was just so much that I could not do. And I ended up having as a result of all the medicines and all this other stuff, I developed these really thick cataracts. And for me, it was very embarrassing. I feel like being so young, I'm only 33 years old, and this was I've been dealing with this since I was in my 20s, and going to these places where you're the youngest person in there. I mean, these doctor's office and cataract specialists and glaucoma specialists and all of that, I mean, there were people in there with oxygen tanks and with their own personal aids, and then here I am coming in there pregnant. It was just so embarrassing to me. And I feel like there's this unspoken thing about having an illness that you're living with and that you're battling with, is that there's a sense of shame almost that comes along with it. And you're almost afraid to say, that there is something wrong, because you don't want to admit that there's something wrong with you. I mean, who would? But I remember going through that time, and also to rewind, being in the corporate world, and being one of the few black people in your department, and trying to keep a level of professionalism and, and all while dealing with this privately, and for nobody around you to really know exactly what's going on with you, and for you to keep having to fake and pretend like you're okay. I mean, it was times where I would come in and my eyes would just be blood red. And there was nothing I could do about it. There was nothing. There was no eye drops. There was no nothing. And being in that pain and then having so many people come up to you throughout the day and are like, man, your eyes are really red. Like, what's going on? Like, are you okay? Or making jokes, did you get high before work? Or did you, people are very, some people lack a lot of cool. And dealing with all of that on your own and trying to be the best version of yourself that you can be is really hard. And like I said, during that time, and even to this day, there's not a lot of people sharing their experiences with sarcoidosis, and especially younger people, stepping out and saying, hey, this is what I have and this is what I had to deal with, would have been very comforting to me, to have during that time of confusion and feeling alone and like nobody really fully understands what's happening with you, and I wanted to make this video because of that, and to send someone some encouragement and to let you know that you're not alone. It doesn't matter if it's sarcoidosis or any other autoimmune illness that you may have, that there's nothing wrong with you, that you're not damaged goods, and to really be able to stand up for yourself and say, hey, this is what I have. It doesn't define me, but this is what I'm dealing with, and to not feel like you're embarrassed or to be ashamed of what's going on with you. It's not something that you did to yourself. It's not something that you caused. These things just happen. It doesn't have an age. It doesn't have a gender or race. It doesn't have anything. It just picks and chooses who it pleases. So I wanted to share that today. Since then, I've had my double cataract surgery and it went beautifully. I was not able to get all of my vision back, but I got enough back to function, which I'm so thankful for, and I thank God for every day, to just be able to wake up and see my children, see their faces. I think when I had my cataract surgery, that was one of the first things that just broke me, was that I could fully see my son's face. When he was born, I was in the thick of it. So to be able to appreciate those little things that I feel like, some people might take for granted because they've never had to deal with the loss of or the lack of those vital functions that everyone has. So I just feel like I wanted to just make this and share my story. I know that Sarcoidosis Awareness Month was in April and I'm a little bit late, but that's okay. It's better late than never. But I wanted to share this and to also encourage you to be kind to other people. I understand we're all curious and we all want to be in the know, but sometimes there are things that people are dealing with in private that, they may be ashamed to talk about, so think about these things before you ask, what's wrong, or, what's going on with you, or, you're walking a little funny, or, you don't know what people are dealing with on their own. And to just let people know that, disabilities are not always something you can physically see. There were times I was in environments that everyone is drinking, having a good time, partying, and all this stuff, and I am trying my hardest to keep up, even though I'm in excruciating pain. You never know what someone is dealing with, so always lead with kindness, lead with love. And I just want to make sure that I put that out there today, and that I encouraged you to, love on somebody today. If you know someone who is dealing with any type of illness or anything, show them a little extra love and be as kind and supporting as you possibly can, because it makes the world of difference. It's between, living and breaking every single day. And having that love and support from people around you is absolutely priceless. And it is the only thing that kept me going each and every day. So I wanted to just put that out there and share it. And I'm not always the most open person, but I'm learning to, share certain things about me and my life, and in hopes and prayers that it encourages someone else and uplifts someone else. So I wanted to say I love you. I hope that you're having the best day ever. I'm headed to go pick up my baby before I'm late. But I love you, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.